Well. 45-10 is your final score. Clemson versus Furman. Saw a lot of guys playing the game. Basically emptied the bench. Saw a lot of guys that are going to play in the future for our Clemson Tigers. You get out of there with a win. Unfortunately, you don't get out of there healthy. We'll get into the game. We'll get into all of that. But thank you guys so much for being here. Hit that like button while you're in here. It really helps us out on these live videos. Hit that subscribe button. We're getting really close to 6,000 subscribers. Your help with that would be greatly appreciated. Consider becoming a channel member. We just finished a live stream of the game over on this channel, but for our members only. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, click the join button right below this video. Become a channel member, select your tier, and become a supporter of the channel on a monthly basis. And then, as always, towards the end of the show, me and Jordan will get to you guys, the comment section, for the end of the show. We'll get to as many comments and questions as we possibly can. We can't get to all of them, so if you want to be sure that your comment and or question is read to and responded during this live episode, hit that super chat feature. It helps support the channel, and we'll be sure to get to your question. And without further ado, I'm going to bring on my co-host, Jordan Bowman. What's up, brother? Long time no see. Just finished up our live stream.
Yeah, man.
It was a low blood pressure game to watch. Thankfully, 45-10 is the final score. We were both pretty close in our score predictions. So, shout out to us. Maybe we're getting better at this towards the end of the season. Maybe not. Who knows?
Well, we'll find out next week. That's for sure.
That's right. But yeah, still some good college football on. I got it on the TV while we're going to be doing this live show. But before we get into the show, Jordan, before we get into the game and talk about our thoughts and our raw reaction to the game, let's give a shout out to the comment section, all the fine people that have showed up to see what we have to think. Blood Moon is in here. Thank you so much for being here. KDJ0513, thanks for being in here. John Sarian, thank you so much for being in here. Appreciate you. You were in our live game stream for the members only. You see that symbol beside his name, not the wrench. The other symbol means he's a monthly supporter of the channel. He is a member of this channel, so thank you so much for that. It is looking like it's going to be a Virginia SMU ACC championship game. That is correct, John. Wet Socks is in here. Thank you so much for being in here. CJ is in here. Thanks for being in here. Let's see. The Swole Man is in here. Trying not to miss anybody. Seabreeze 864 is in here. John Answers is in here. David is in here. A Hard Take is in here. Thank you so much for being in here. Good to see you. Another channel member in here, Clemson Football Speakeasy. Thank you so much for being in here and being a channel member. Michael Foster. Arthur Moss is in here, another one of our great channel members. Thank you so much for being in here. Appreciate you. Skylar Waiters is in here. Juju Thomas is in here. I think I hit everybody. If I missed your name, I'm sorry. It was not on purpose, but thank you guys so much for being in here. We got 39 people in the live chat right now. Make sure you hit that like button. Consider hitting that subscribe button. Me and Jordan do a post-game live video immediately following every single Clemson game. We also do a show called The All-In Show every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Hope you guys will come hang out with us, talk about Clemson football, college football. As our season's coming to an end, we'll start talking playoff football and all that kind of stuff, ACC championship type stuff and all that stuff. So come join us for that. We would appreciate your presence there. But Jordan, 45-10 is the final score tonight. It was an interesting game. Not all good, but certainly a lot of good in the game. The offense got off to a pretty good start, as did the defense, scoring points early and often. The defense was getting a lot of 3 and outs, what you would expect playing a team of the caliber of Furman.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, overall, just a pretty strong performance, especially in that first half. Didn't have too many qualms with a lot of the things they did. It was a little bittersweet, seeing, some of the seniors and, the guys that, you won't get to see again in Death Valley next year.
Yeah.
I'll start, Kay Klubnik, as much criticism, as much as, we've gotten on him and how much his career has kind of been up and down and rocky, and it's had its peaks and valleys. I mean, you can't question that the kid loves Clemson.
That's right.
And
That's right.
I've never left a game that Kay Klubnik played in where I didn't think he was giving it 100%. So, I think history will probably treat him a little bit more kindly than in the immediate aftermath of his career, but because statistically, I mean, and just kind of on objective measures, he did have a solid career at Clemson. So I do think that is something to be commended, something to be appreciated. And he will get an opportunity in the NFL. I don't know, what he does there. We'll see. There's things he's got to work on, but I am very appreciative of what he did as a Clemson Tiger, and it's it's a little bittersweet seeing that you're not gonna see him again. But other than that, I thought he played mostly well. He had a couple of of his regular scheduled Cade moments. The intentional grounding was what it was, but he delivered some pretty accurate balls down the field. It was nice to see Antonio Williams catch those 2 touchdown passes in his last game in the Valley. Another guy that I think, I think history will definitely remember him more fondly. I feel like he was underappreciated in his time here, and then you go and look in the history books and the records and the statistics, and you're like, wow. I mean, he was as prolific as of a receiver as we've had here, and it's going to be it's a shame that that he's going to be gone. It feels like he just got here.
I know.
This team is going to miss him. You're not replacing a kid of his talent level. Just not his not just his impact and what he meant to this offense. It's something that can't be replaced. But it's not over. We'll get to see these guys play again. But it's just the last time you'll see them in the Valley. So it's always a little bittersweet.
Yeah, it's a bittersweet moment, and I said it during the game stream, but what a fitting way for those 2 guys in particular to end their career in Death Valley. Cade Klubnik, 1, and then 2 being Antonio Williams, 2 touchdown passes for Cade, both to Antonio Williams. And it was just a fitting way for both of those guys to kind of end their career in the Valley. You saw Cade as he got pulled off the field pretty early in that second quarter. I was kind of surprised at how early he was pulled from the game. But again, I get it. You got some backup quarterbacks there that you need to get some burn and see what they got, and we'll get into their performance here. But Cade has always been a guy that has given Clemson his all. He's not always been, he's not always made the best plays or been the best decision maker or always got the results on the field that the fans and both him and the fans wanted. But that dude really does love Clemson and has come to this university and given him his all. So it was really, bittersweet to see him walk off the field and get emotional and, begging Dabo for one more play to try to get another touchdown pass. But, he's had a really good career here, and we're grateful to have him. Same with Antonio Williams. That's we were talking during the live stream. That's a guy. That's a huge hole in your offense that you're going to be replacing next year. Just look how the offense looked clunky and out of sync when he was hurt earlier in the season, and the difference that it looks like when he's on the field. He's a difference maker. He's a guy that understands football at a high level. He can run routes. He's good after catch. He's going to do some things in the NFL. I don't have any doubt about it. and I wish both those guys well. But as the game went on, you saw some of the other seniors kind of get a timeout called and get pulled off the field. The offensive lineman, Tristan Lay, Blake Miller. What a stat for Blake Miller. That dude has started every single Clemson game since he got on campus.
Yep.
That is insane. One, just from a sheer talent standpoint, like you have to be really good to start from day one, especially at offensive line, especially at a tackle position along the offensive line. And he's done that. Not only that, it shows just his durability, his ability to stay on the field. They always say the best ability is availability, and that dude has been Iron Man since he's been at Clemson. So great to see him kind of get that recognition, getting pulled off the field. The same with Tristan Lay. He's been a big part of that Clemson offensive line. Adam Randall, another guy. Just a ton of guys. Avion Terrell, Peter Woods, T.J. Parker, T-Bone. You're not going to see a lot of these guys anymore in Death Valley, at least. Still got a couple more games now. Clemson is officially bowl eligible at 6-5 on the season. Still got South Carolina next week, so that's going to be a big game. So we do get to see these guys play, 2 more games, hopefully. And, bittersweet moment, but an amazing atmosphere. Military Appreciation Day, Senior Day, wearing the all purples. I really like that uniform combination. It looks really good. A little weird doing it against another purple team in the Paladins, but there was no shortage of purple on the field or in the stadium tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Just wanted to give we just wanted to kind of give our shout outs to those guys because it's, hey, listen, these are still players, and they chose to wear Clemson, and they chose the paw, and they chose to stay. I'm appreciative of that. And it's you only get to be in college once. Well, at least as a football player. I mean, you can go back if you want for more school, but you don't get to play. You only get to play college football once, and so this is, for many of these kids, like it's their last opportunity. The guys we just mentioned are going to get opportunities at the next level, but not all of them. So I just wanted to just give a shout out to those guys, just all the seniors and the guys that'll be leaving next year. But just kind of getting into the game itself, I thought more or less like we said in the first half, we was pretty good. The short yardage running still continues to be a problem. Still one of the worst teams in the ACC at that. One day this offensive line will be able to block up counter. I don't know. They don't run it
Maybe.
Well. Maybe one day. But pass protection was pretty good, and for the most part, I think the times where Cade was pressured. I mean, one time was his fault. The other time it was just flat out they blitzed right into the play call, and that created pressure. So I didn't have too many problems with like the pass protection as a whole. Like I didn't see guys just getting worked. As I mentioned, that Stone King kid for Furman, he's one of the best arguably the best in the FCS. I know he statistically leads them in sacks and TFLs. So. Thought they largely played okay. The defense was pretty disruptive most of the night, and the starters at least, especially. That was pretty good. Didn't have too many issues with that. They looked like the better team. They looked like a team that was playing an inferior opponent for that first half. So not too many complaints there.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the first half went about as well as it could have gone. Like I said, scoring early and often, holding the opponent to a bunch of 3-and-outs. I think we punted once in the first half and had another turnover on downs and then had a missed field goal.
Yeah.
Other than that, they were productive drives that resulted in points. Outside of Cade Klubnik's intentional grounding play, I thought he had a really clean game. He He read the field well. He made the good decisions, again, outside of that one. And then 2 touchdown passes to Antonio Williams, which was really nice. And then defensively, that first team defense, did what they were supposed to do against a team that was outmatched in the first half. They produced a bunch of 3 and outs. They didn't allow them to do much. Furman didn't get on the board until I think there was maybe 20 seconds left to go in the first half, and they kicked a field goal to get onto the board. So you go to halftime 31-3, and you're feeling really good. Coming out in the second half, it was a little bit different, right? You saw a lot of those reserves in there. More than reserves, you saw, some walk-on guys, some practice squad guys in there. And Furman started moving the ball. And it was kind of one of those things where me and you were talking during the live show where they were like, are they going to have to put in the first team? And sure enough, they had to bring in the first team defense once again and kind of shut the door on Furman and kind of slow their offense down a little bit. But kind of a disappointing third quarter, I think, for both the defense and the offense. The offense didn't put up any points. The defense allowed that touchdown and just kind of gave up way too many yards and too many consistent drives from a team like Furman. Again, you got a lot of the reserves in there. You got a lot of guys that haven't played a lot of football at Clemson in there, but the fact still remains that you had to put in the first team defense again. And I think that was kind of a frustrating thing to sit there and watch from a Clemson perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes back to my just this nagging, observation. Every time Clemson is in a position as of late to put in their backups, it's like you look at them and you're like, you don't see much of a difference between them and the team they're facing. They just don't. I mean, yeah, and as you mentioned, I mean, yeah, you're playing walk-ons and some, at some spots and things like that. So I get it, but still, I mean, you're Clemson. Your reserves should look bigger, faster, stronger than an FCS team, especially a middle of the road FCS team. Like they're not. Furman is on. They've played better than their record at times this year, but they're still not great. That's not a great football team, even at the FCS level. And so but you don't look like when you get into those reserves and get deeper into your bench, you don't really look like you have that same advantage. And that was especially on offense. Like you don't really have much going there. It doesn't look like. We'll talk about we'll talk about the end of the game shortly, but that's the frustrating thing. And defensively, I think you still have you have some pieces that look the part, but then at other spots you don't have it. Corner, I don't. There's the corner. Really, there's just the secondary in general. It just does not look very, very promising. At least as far as the depth is concerned. I mean, you saw a good bit of different guys play today. The only non-starter defensive back that I feel like any sort of like optimism for right now is Corian Gibson. I haven't really seen much from anybody else this season. That gives me hope to think that once Avion Terrell is gone, that this secondary is really going to be able to hold it down next season. So I wonder if that's a spot they look at in the portal. I certainly would. And I mean, I do think you have some talented, freshmen coming in, excited to get guys like Polo Anderson, Caden Gebhart on campus. But I don't see the future there right now. And that's a little concerning. And I told you guys that Furman has some good receivers. I mean, Evan James obviously was he caught the one touchdown pass they threw today, but Kerry King was their best receiver on the day, and he was constantly working. I mean, it felt like every catch he got was on Brandon Strozer. So, it doesn't seem like you have guys that you feel confident about stepping into bigger roles next year as it stands right now. So, but defensive line, I still think you still have some capable guys there. John Sarian pointed out Caden Story to us during the live watch along. He was flashing a good bit. That was good to see. You got to see a lot of the backup defensive linemen. Vic Burley made some plays, batted down some passes. That's good to see. Got former 5-star, borderline 5-star recruit. Had his kind of had to wait his turn, and he's dealt with injury early in his career. So just seeing him come along is a big sign. Unfortunately, didn't get to see Amari Adams today because he got injured this week during practice. But some of the other backups, you saw Champ Thompson and Heaven Brown Schuler in there. So those guys, they look more of the part. But as you get to the second level, and you have some questions, and that's something that really needs to be, I feel like really needs to be addressed this season. And the fact that you had to play some of your starters again and at some inopportune times, obviously played into some injuries that we'll talk about. And so I'm just that was probably my biggest complaint on the night.
Yeah, I mean it's unfortunate, and I think one of the things that you can kind of gather from having to put your first string defense back out there to kind of slow down the momentum that Furman was gaining on offense, particularly, is you got a depth issue at Clemson, and some of these backups and some of these future guys just don't look like they're developing as well as you would want them to or need them to. You mentioned cornerback in particular, and that's one of the positions that I feel like you're just going to have to go get somebody in the portal. You're still going to have Ashton Hampton, but you're losing, Terrell. He's gone, and the guys behind them don't look great. And even Ashton Hampton has had his moments this year where he has not looked great, and he has been, picked on by various teams. And it's just something that was a glaring issue, I think, tonight when you had to put in that first team defense again. It just shows that you have a depth issue, and those guys are not developing as quickly as you need them to. And going into next season and leaning onto those guys and expecting them to become starters, I think is something that you can't afford to do. I think you got to go address some of these issues in the portal. I hope Clemson does that. We will see as the offseason continues. But talking about the offense a little bit, particularly the quarterback position, Jordan, we saw 4 quarterbacks tonight. Obviously, Cade Klubnik left the game early in the second quarter. You then saw, CV. After him, you saw Trent Pierman, and then after him, finishing up the game, you saw Chris Denson. Out of those 3 quarterbacks, who impressed you the most, and who was probably the most disappointing out of the 3?
Yeah,
where does it leave us going forward next year? Did anything that happened today tell you that Clemson should not go to the portal and get a quarterback this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer is pretty obvious in terms of who impressed me the most in terms of the backup quarterbacks. I'll say this: I'm not going to be reactionary on this show. I'm not going to just start jumping to conclusions because listen, we've seen this kind of thing before, and it hasn't always translated. But I will say this: Chris Denson is he does have some talent. It's very obvious. I do think. I'm not ready to say that, man, okay, he needs to be the backup quarterback. He should be QB2 or he should be the guy that we're looking at to start next season. I'm not going to jump into any of those conclusions. He ran the ball extremely effectively and threw a bunch of screen passes. So, I mean, that's I don't think that's enough to jump to conclusions. But I do think that he is a guy that has some utility. I don't see why you don't have any sort of you couldn't use him in any sort of packages or anything like that because he does bring a different level of athleticism to this group that no other quarterback on this roster has. I don't think Vizina is a bad runner. I think he's actually a pretty good runner for the most part, and he had a couple of nice runs today. But it's very clear that Chris Denson has a level of elusiveness that I think could be very useful with how Clemson likes to run its quarterbacks. I mean, he's not gonna run guys over, but he is going he's got legit speed and he's got some wiggle to him. So I mean that's useful. So I don't know. Maybe you see him incorporate it now, especially now that we're towards the end of the season. Maybe you see him in some of those situations. I mean, I know what they've said about him throwing the football, and I don't necessarily disagree. Like, it doesn't look like he has a ton of zip on those throws. I mean, he's not the most gifted arm talent, but I mean, I definitely think he has some utility with his legs, and you can there's things you can do to use his ability with the ball in his hands in space. So I don't know. I was thoroughly impressed. I mean, we knew he could run based off of his high school tape, but it was nice to see it in practice and just kind of but right before our eyes, and not just on a huddle highlight tape. Like you could actually see. You could actually see it, and
Right.
he looked good, man.
He did look good. And again, he ran the ball extremely well. And as you mentioned, very elusive when he gets out into the open field. He can make people miss. Guys don't kind of square up and get a lot of big hits on him. At least it didn't seem in his limited runs tonight. He's just very elusive in that way. 6 carries for 106 yards. 50 yards was his longest run. Led the team in rushing tonight. Player of the game on 4 snaps, which is just kind of crazy. Watching the broadcast and seeing that he was 4 for 4 in passing, but I don't know that a single one of those was past the line of scrimmage. Would have loved to see him just kind of, dial something up. Just
The one that Ian Shefflin was
yeah.
it.
Well, yeah, Ian Shefflin. So one of 4 was past the line of scrimmage. The other ones were kind of swing or screen passes. So as much as I love his legs, and he looks very comfortable running with the football, he looks like a good decision maker. He knows when to take off. You want to see him throw the ball down the field. That's one of the things that I wish they would have done with him during the game. They just didn't dial up a play, and maybe that's part of just the personnel that was in the game at that point in time. It's not like he had the star-studded cast of wide receivers out there that could create any sort of separation at that point. Just look at the huddle when they were huddling up and all the names on the back of the jerseys. It was, not an impressive lineup out there with him. So I think he ran a lot because he had to, and he looks very good out there. I'm not going to take any more from it other than he looks really good running the football, and you need to see a lot more as far as him being able to push the football down the field with his arm. It's great to be able to run. It's great to be very athletic. I think it could be something that could add a whole lot to Clemson's offense, but you also have to be able to push the ball down the field at some point in time. And if you're not capable of doing that, then I don't know, right? So, moving on to Chris Vezina, he did lead a touchdown drive, had a passing touchdown tonight, and had some good runs, but didn't look great on other times. Overthrowing some wide receivers. That big one that comes to mind is Tristan Smith right down the middle of the field. I mean, had him wide open. It was going to be an explosive play, and just about a yard too far. And Tristan Smith can't come up with the football. Really didn't even get a hand on it because it was an overthrow. But, you see things like that. Also with some of the timing routes, we were watching it in the watch along, and some of those timing routes that Cade has become so good at throwing. With some of those out routes and things like that, Chris Vezina just leading the receivers too far, doesn't quite have it there. So that kind of worries you when you see that from your backup quarterback, especially heading into next season when you're losing your starter in Cade Klubnik. So I think it's something that Clemson's got to look at addressing in the portal, even if it's just a guy to come in and compete with the rest of the guys to see who wins the starting job. I think you have to do it. There's nothing in my mind that changed tonight based off of what I saw. And I know it was just Furman, but, I just didn't see a quarterback out there that I would 100% be comfortable with going into 2026 as your starting quarterback. I didn't see him out there. I saw some potential, but I think you got to go in the transfer portal. You got to bring in somebody to compete for that starting position and we'll see who wins it, right? So, it was an interesting game in that sense from a quarterback standpoint. You mentioned running the football. It was nice to see, Easy E get some burn tonight. Unfortunately, he got a little banged up in the game. But Jordan, let's talk about the injuries that happened tonight and how that's going to affect Clemson going forward. Jaheim Lawson probably being the biggest one goes down with – I'm not going to speculate. I don't know what his injury is. It did not look well. He got, helped off the field, did not put any weight on his right leg, immediately goes to the medical tent, spends, a good amount of time in there, and then walks off the field into the locker room under the help of crutches. So how big is that going to be for Clemson moving forward? I mean, obviously we got a huge game next week in South Carolina, the state championship game, rivalry week. It's going to be a big game, and that's one of your best pass rushers that you have on your roster. Not only that, he's been one of your most consistent defensive linemen all season, and you lose him in a game like this.
Yeah, man, it's disappointing. I mean, in a play in the third quarter where the game is not in doubt. It's easy to say in the moment, it's like you shouldn't be playing and all that. And I kind of agree, but, it also is just kind of a freak accident the way it played out.
It didn't even look like a contact injury. It just scares you more than anything.
Yeah, and if Braden Jacobs is any indication, you don't have to be on the field to get hurt.
You can get hurt even after the clock's hit zero. Apparently. Yeah. Braden Jacobs season in it, and then OPH as well. Another guy that goes down tonight. A big part of Clemson's offense. He's kind of your clutch tight end. He catches almost everything that comes his way, and he kind of goes down with. It looked like his knee kind of hit the ground. And, you don't see him for the rest of the day. So, unfortunately, in a game like this, the one thing that you want the most, you come into this game and you're probably going to win. And it's probably going to be a large margin of victory, which it was tonight, 45-10. But the one thing you need is to come out healthy. And you had a couple key injuries tonight. And it's unfortunate because it's a team that's already – the injuries are starting to pile up, if you will.
Yeah.
And – losing those two guys tonight was definitely does not help their chances heading into Columbia next week. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you hate it at this time. I mean, obviously Jaheim is huge. I mean, he's one of your best pass rushers, and they really like to use him, especially on those third downs. And now you don't have that. And that's another hit to your depth. I mean, next week you're definitely gonna hope that Will Helt and TJ Parker stay healthy. Because you don't really now that Jaheim Lawson is probably going to be out. If I had to guess, just based off of the nature of that injury.
The way he left the field, there's not a chance he plays next week.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty rough, man. And like. I just you don't really have much confidence in the guys behind them. I think you'll see some Cade Denhoff, and I think he's actually played pretty well. But I mean, I still think there's a drop off between between obviously T.J. Parker and Will Helt and the rest of that room when you don't have Jaheim Lawson. And so now you're just. The injuries are piling up of guys that are key players for you. I mean, I already mentioned Braden Jacobs, and Khalil Barnes got hurt tonight too. I guess we'll wait to see. It didn't look as serious, but he was holding his neck. I know you speculated it might be a stinger. It definitely looked like it, just by the nature of that.
The hit that occurred right before that. If you've played football. It kind of to me, it just looked like a stinger, which hopefully that's all it is. And if it is, he should be good to go.
He should be okay
next week. Hopefully it's not anything else. It could be much worse. But again, as you mentioned, the injuries are starting to pile up for this team, and you got quite a big game and a team that, blew out Coastal Carolina tonight and in South Carolina, and you're traveling up to their house next week, and you need to win that game. You really do. after the season that Clemson's had, you need to go up there and win that game. And it's becoming increasingly more difficult the more guys that end up in the injured reserve, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So yep, and that's definitely going to be something to monitor as we head into the rivalry game. This is going to be a fun week. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think is anything else that stood out to you about this football game? Anybody you wanted to mention? Because we got to see Juju Preston, another guy that
Juju Preston, yeah. Shout out Juju Preston.
He had a nice little punt return, and he also had a short reception where he stiff armed a guy, which was
had a catch and a stiff arm on the sideline.
Which is kind of nuts, considering he's like 125 pounds. So that was good to see. He looks like he has some juice. I mean, the kid can run. He's not the big. I mean, definitely needs to get bigger. Don't think he can play at that size, but it was good to see him. And maybe there's some potential there in the wide receiver room. Obviously, we got to see Logan Brooking, guy that I'm extremely high on. I've had him described to me Davis Allen 2.0. Hey, I'll take a million Davis Allen. So I mean, if he ends up being that good, that's a nice plus with Beneker. You got to see David Eziamume for the first time in a while. That was
he looked good out there.
Yeah, that was good to see. He had some nice runs. I know you saw Tyler Brown scored a touchdown tonight.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
reverse.
Great kind of reverse there by Tyler Brown, and he takes it into the end zone. It was great to see him get a touchdown. That was fantastic, especially a guy like him. I'm glad he had a little bit of success today because with the exit of Antonio Williams, you really need a guy like Tyler Brown to stick around next year. And we talked about it in the watch along. It wouldn't surprise you and you wouldn't blame him if he left. But he's a guy that you need to stay around because I think he could be a really big part of replacing that hole in the offense that Antonio Williams is obviously going to leave.
Yep, absolutely. And I hope he gets more, gets more opportunities because it just hasn't come for him this year. Just coming off of how injury plagued 2024 was for him, but how good he can be when he's healthy. And
he's a great player when he's healthy.
So just seeing him get more opportunities was nice.
And he was aggressive out there tonight, and he was looking to make plays. Think about that kick return he had at the end of the half where he was kind of 5 yards deep in the end zone, and he's deciding like, hey, we got 20 seconds left in the half. I might as well try to go make a play. I like it. I like the mentality there. I like the aggressiveness, just trying to go make a play and seeing if you could break one.
Yeah, absolutely. Who else stood out? Shout out to Fletcher Cawthorn.
Yeah, my man had 2 tackles for loss today.
Yeah, two TFLs. Yeah, former walk. Well, I can't say he's still a walk on. I can't say former walk on. He looked good. Don't expect him to be like a big part of like the future on defense, but
it's always cool to see those guys get out there, and when they do, if they make a big play, it's always exciting.
Yeah.
Shout out to him on his 2 TFL day. Might be the highlight of his career. Who knows? But still fun to watch.
Yeah. Thought Kobe McLeod had another nice day. Let me see who else. I think when they play, I mean the starting defensive line played fine. T.J. Parker, I thought he had a couple of nice plays. Peter Woods, DeMonte Capehart. It was just nice to see those guys just being out there and playing. Let's see. Anybody else that stood out to you? I feel like I covered everything. everybody that really jumped out to me.
Yeah, I think that's, it's kind of everybody. Overall, an easy win, much like we predicted in the preview show on Tuesday. Didn't get out of here healthy, unfortunately, but the Tigers win another game, become bowl eligible with only one game left in the season. Never would have thought that at the beginning of this season when we were previewing the season, but here we are in the month of November, and we are finally bowl eligible, Jordan. 6-5 on the season. Head up
It's
to
a miracle.
Columbia next week. Got a big game. Going to get tested. We'll see how it works out, but I think that kind of does it for our thoughts on the game tonight. We're going to turn it over to you guys, the comment section, for a little bit. Get your questions and your comments in. Let us know what you want to hear about, and we'll do that for the next little bit, and then we'll get out of here tonight and watch some more football. Still some good games on. Georgia Tech bringing it back a little bit before halftime, 28-14 at half. So we'll see if they can come back and make any noise in the second half and punch their ticket to the ACC championship game. It's all on them.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. Let's see what you guys are talking about in the comment section or live chat. The comment section is different. You get what I'm saying? I'm sleepy. I ate during the live stream, during the watch along, and now the itis is kind of settling in.
Yeah, got that itis. Got that itis.
Did we talk about Denson? Yes, we did.
We did talk about Denson. Impressive running the football. Wish we would have seen him throw it down the field.
Yeah. Cade not being your starting quarterback may get other guys the ball too. Can't neglect the fact that he just threw it towards Antonio Williams at times. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there were times where, Antonio Williams being as good as he was kind of a blessing and a curse because, it made you – Cade definitely looked for him at times when he should have been looking for somebody else. Yeah. And I get it. Listen, seeing if Antonio Williams is first is not necessarily a terrible strategy, but – sometimes it means you miss throws and that need to be made, and that's certainly happened over the course of his career. So, maybe you see something different there. With a new quarterback under center. I mean, TJ Moore certainly had one of his best games of the season when Christopher Vezina was starting. So
he did.
See. I'm also mentally preparing for our defense to miss several tackles and for Sellers to run all over our defense. I mean, that hasn't been Lenore Sellers this year. So, but hey, listen, this would be the game where he decides.
Yeah, he just has a coming out party on the ground and goes for $120 plus on the ground. Yeah.
That'd be something, wouldn't it? I mean, I don't know what Mike Shula was doing, but like they certainly didn't. I mean, Sellers has been sacked a ton this year, but they also just didn't design stuff for him like they did last year when what's his face Dowell Loggins was the offensive coordinator. So, I really don't. I very much depend like how South Carolina game plans for this defense is very much going to determine. I mean, but like how they choose to attack this defense is going to determine how I feel about this game. Because if they're gonna run the offense that they've been running with Sellers, then I have some confidence in this game. But
I got way more.
If they treat Sellers like the freak of an athlete he is, and just give him opportunities with the football, then that's got me it's got me uncomfortable.
Yeah, he's only rushed the ball for 186 yards this year.
Yeah, far cry. He had almost 700 last year, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, very very stark difference from a year ago. I don't know what Mike Shula was doing. trying to turn him into a pocket passer. Like, I mean, it's not what you recruit a Lenora Sellers to do. He's got a cannon of an arm, but I mean, he's not consistent on those. He's not consistent enough and accurate enough to feel comfortable just letting him go and sling it around the field. Like, that's not his game. You let him run the football because he's pretty special with the ball in his hands. He's not another quarterback in college football that runs quite like he can. Let me see. Katie says, points out, yeah, Jeremiah Alexander, got to see him a good bit. This was his most snaps in a while. John says TJ has second most catches this year since Wesco went out, so 3 wide receivers are Cade's favorites. Yeah, I mean, and you've certainly seen, like, with Wesco being out, it's kind of forced Cade to get the ball to TJ more often, which, listen, TJ Moore with the ball in his hands is never a bad thing. So and he certainly looked good in the catches he got today. So that's hopefully you get to see next week he's a bigger part of the game plan for sure. Cole Turner had a couple of nice catches today. Probably could have had a touchdown. So that was cool. But yeah, not the receivers were fine. Tristan Smith could have had a touchdown. CV
didn't overthrow him. He was
CV, you're right. It was wide open, and he didn't.
He ran a great route. The ball was just a yard too far.
Yeah. And then on the what was it, that route to the pylon where, like, that was underthrown, like severely underthrown, because I think Tristan ran the wrong route or something. Dabo was chewing him out on the sideline. That wasn't good, but more or less, for the most part, the receivers were good today. Let's see. Yeah. The LSU still losing 3-0. I got that game on the screen. I'm not really sure what they got going on right now. I get it's an interim coach, but that's something. Let's see. TJ is also the yards leader, not into. Yeah. Obviously Antonio has spent time injured this season, so that's probably a big reason why. I'd be interested to see the per game numbers for both of them, but yeah, that certainly plays a factor. I hope they're able to get Tristan Smith another year of eligibility. Yeah, me too. I feel like
I know they're working on it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they are working on it. I mean, I feel like he's still just kind of scratching the surface and getting comfortable. So, but he's already made some plays this year. I asked earlier, but where would y'all rank Antonio all time for Clemson wide receivers? Ooh, that's a tough question to answer now. I mean, he's got to be top 10 at worst.
Yeah, I'd have to. I don't have a good answer right now. I'd have to think about that a little bit.
I'd have to think about it, like where exactly his placement. But I think I feel he's pretty comfortably in the top 10 somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, just off the top of the head, he's probably top 10. But again, I don't know. I'd have to think about that and put a list together before I could say.
Yeah, Juju. That's a good point. Kevin Jennings wasn't doing it before we played them either. Then he runs all over us with a bum ankle. Yeah, that was embarrassing. That certainly certainly one of the worst defensive performers. I mean, until Duke, that was probably the worst defensive performance of the season.
Yeah.
I expected them to out athlete the defense, but I did not expect Kevin Jennings to do what he did. Injured. That was pretty embarrassing. It's pretty pathetic. Which is why you can't count out Lenore Sellers finally, just suddenly having a breakout game. Let's see. Grisham, Richardson, and Luke are safe on offense, in my opinion. On defense, I am totally lost. I would tend to agree. I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% sold on Richardson being safe. Yeah. I would if I got to make the decisions, I'd probably keep him around because I do think he's done a good job with the tight ends. And how much he's actually involved with like game planning, like offensive game planning and play calling. That I guess that would determine. That would kind of I'd like to know that because I don't actually know.
Right.
I know he's passing game coordinator and all that, but I don't know how much of the passing game he actually has say over.
A lot of times those are titles to get coaches paid more money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what
a lot of fans see those titles like co-coordinator and passing game coordinator and all that. A lot of that stuff is just to get people raises. It's not actually any change in what they do on a day-to-day.
Yeah, I just wonder if you move on from Garrett Riley, is that going to be like? Is Kyle Richardson like kind of like tied to him? Not in the sense like they have a previous relationship, but
the style of offense that they like.
Style of offense,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question. I do think he probably stays around though, if I had to guess.
Yep. Eesh. All right. Michael, Sammy needs to follow Sellers everywhere. Yeah, I mean, you need to account for because I mean this is the game. This would be the game where they break up all tendencies and just start running them.
Yeah,
especially with the they have a different coordinator. And they've looked better offensively the last couple of weeks since the coordinator change. Even against A&M, I mean, they in the first half that was the best their offenses looked really all season. So
definitely the best they've looked. Now they couldn't get anything done in the second half, but again,
A&M is a much better football team than us. So
no doubt about it.
Yeah. Let's see. Please don't let Woodaz play next week. Alexander needs to start. I mean, I don't know if I'm there. I mean, I'm definitely not like against more Jeremiah Alexander snaps, but I'm not of the opinion he needs to be starting right now. I don't think he's been that good. He's been good. I think he's had some nice moments, but I still think there's a reason he's not. I think the reason he's not starting is justified. Yeah, Smith hasn't been clutch in the last 2 or 3 games. Yeah, I mean, he certainly had some pretty rough mistakes last
year. The past 2 games really is he's had some rough moments, particularly last game with the drops.
Yeah,
he got kind of benched after his second drop last game, and then today with the route, Dabo Swinney getting on him on the sideline a little bit. I think it was more coaching him than it was, yelling at him or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just coaching.
Dabo being a wide receiver, being a wide receiver.
Being a wide receiver coach. Yeah, absolutely. Old habits die hard.
Yeah.
But I think Tristan Smith is a good addition to the team, and I think he'll be all right.
Yeah. Like I said, I still think he's just kind of scratching the surface of his ability, and so I hope he gets that extra year. Because obviously this is the best in terms of facilities, resources that he's had in his college career to help aid in his development. So
I think if he gets another year, he's going to be a good piece for this offense come next season.
Yep. Let's see. I knew Jordan would mention Cole Turner that can do this in a threat. We need explosive weapons who can make people miss. Well, he did make somebody miss on one of his catches, but I mean, I don't know what you think. I think of Cole Turner. I didn't say he's like the best thing ever, but I'm not going to even argue it tonight. Let's see, with Antonio making it official tonight, he's going to the draft. Tyler Brown has to feel good about next year. Yeah, I mean, where else was he going to go? I mean,
yeah.
In terms of I'm talking about Antonio Williams, like I know he, he's just making an announcement and all that, but like you're seeing. I mean, where else was it?
Yeah, I don't think that was ever a question. Were you quit playing football?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course he's going to the draft.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that.
Yeah, I mean,
now if he had done that last year, he could have done that last year, and that would have been
a huge announcement. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this is just a formality. I'm just giving him just giving him a hard time. Yeah, no, I wouldn't put Antonio top 5, but I think he's no. I would think he's like in the 6 to 10 range, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to do some thinking about it, and just because the names off the top of my head, there's a few that I would put over him. There's probably 5 I'd put over, but I definitely think I do think he's probably top 10, maybe top 15. I'd have to think about it and look at that's something maybe we'll do on the next show, or not the next show, but maybe during the an off week or whatever, since this team is not playing for a conference championship. So we'll have plenty of time to do that. Maybe we do I know we did like our top 5 or how many did we do? Like over the off season, we did like top 5 all time for each position group.
Yeah, we did top 5.
Maybe we expand it at some point. I don't know. I don't remember what we said for those though.
Yeah, we'd have to go back and put our list back together and
yeah. Let's try this again. What do you think of the fact that Clemson tied for 8th in the ACC this year with Cal and Louisville?
It was a disaster of a season.
I mean, and nothing different than what we've already said about this season. It's been an abject failure. So, yeah, I mean that's what I think of it.
You were supposed to win the ACC and make some sort of playoff run this year. That was the expectations heading into the season, and it was an epic failure. There's no really nothing else to say about it. Inexcusable. Too much talent to be that far down in the ACC.
All right, let's do a few more, then get on out of here. How do y'all feel about Vizina? Because we do have a good offense. I mean,
I'm not sold.
I'm not sold. I think there's promise. I do think like I mean there's a chance that he turns out to be good for you. I mean I already mentioned like I thought he acquitted himself pretty well against SMU, but there were still moments, and it was clear that he was a guy making his first start, and he had to kind of settle into that game. But he made some big throws. So I mean that's good to see. When he's playing with the first team offense, like he looked capable, and so that's reason for optimism. But again, I'm not sold that he's definitely the guy that's you should feel comfortable with being your starter next season. So. But I mean, I agree that there's pieces on this offense to work with. You gotta signal caller is ultimately going to be it's going to be the determining factor on whether or not you get the most out of these guys or not. Follow closely behind the offensive line, because I do think the weapons that they'll have to throw to are pretty good. You can work with the guys you have and have a pretty good offense. So. I don't know. We'll see. CJ Spiller has to stay. Got to keep 9 and 24. If they leave, then he can go too. I mean, I don't. If you feel like you need, I mean, if you feel like you need to make a change at running back coach, I don't think you do that. I don't think you not do that to hold on to two players, and I don't think either one of them are tied to CJ like that. Where like if he were to, and listen, I'm of the opinion I don't think CJ Spiller gets fired. I'm of the opinion like there are other ways to move guys out of a position that they're not fit for, they're not doing that well without firing them, and so I don't agree with that. I don't think you hold on to CJ for the sake of worried about scaring off or running off Gideon Davidson or Eazy-E. I don't think you do that. I mean, I don't think any smart program does that with any of their coaches unless they're like a truly generational prospect or like elite superstar prospect. You don't tie your players to your assistants like that. That just head coach, it's a different story. But
and I mean I don't agree. And CJ, I think that's one of the positions or position group coaches that you got to look at this offseason, unfortunately. I mean, he's a Clemson legend, but I don't know that he's done enough to continue to be the running back coach at Clemson.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. I wish that wasn't the case, but it is.
Let's see. All right, let me get one more recent one. AW has a year of eligibility. Not that anyone thought he'd use it. Does he? I mean, did he get 2020?
Injury year probably. So
I guess.
Yeah, he probably does have one because of that injury year.
Yeah, I guess so.
Probably got a medical red shirt that season.
I mean, yeah.
So
I don't think there was.
I don't think.
I mean, there wasn't any question that he would.
Yeah, I don't think there's been a question all season. At least not in my mind. No. I knew Antonio Williams. This was going to be his last season.
Yeah. He can't. I mean, you paid him what you did under the with the understanding this was going to be his last year. That's pretty obvious. How many years does Jack Smith have left? I know he has a couple. I don't the exact number. I'm not sure.
He's what is he? He's a junior, right?
I want to say redshirt sophomore or redshirt. He's one of those.
He's a junior. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is his first year playing. So 3 years.
Yeah.
Of eligibility. He hasn't played.
Two or three, something like that.
At least two.
Yeah.
At least two. Maybe three. I don't know. But definitely at least two.
Yeah.
So we're going to worry about that for a few more years.
Dabo said tonight Lawson might just be a sprain. No opinion or readiness for any next games. Okay, well, I mean, if it is a sprain, that's probably best case scenario.
Okay. I mean, he's probably not playing next week regardless,
Yeah.
but for the future, that's what I was hoping. I was hoping it
Yeah.
was nothing that was going to require surgery. So
Yeah.
I hope that's all it is. Regardless of whether he plays again this season or not, I could care less. I just don't want him to have, some type of surgery that's going to have extensive rehab to it and, alters your spring in any way or your development, and you got to kind of get back and trust that again. And, that's kind of my thought process when he went down. I assume he's probably not going to play the rest of this season. Hopefully it's just a sprain and it doesn't require any surgical intervention.
Yeah, here's to hoping. Dabo says OPH out for the rest of the season. Yeah, that sounds about right. That's a big blow.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
A blow to the offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Georgia Tech is fighting back. LSU finally got on the board. Yeah. Well, we'll certainly have more to say about this game. Well, the implications of this game, and kind of more on the injury update and all of that as we head into rivalry weekend and obviously Thanksgiving. So I'm still. We haven't really talked about it in terms of like what the Thanksgiving schedule is going to look like, but. As far as I know, are we still doing the show on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still good.
All right. Well, then we will see you guys on Tuesday.
Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Hope you guys will all be there. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Consider becoming a channel member. And thank you guys all for showing up tonight. Appreciate you. Clemson gets it done, becomes bowl eligible. 45-10 is the final score. We'll take it, Jordan. We will take it. It's better to win than to lose, as we found out this season. We may be towards the bottom of the ACC, but hey, or I guess in the middle of the ACC is where we're at. But regardless, it's been a tough season. It's good to get a win anytime, especially good on Military Appreciation Day, Senior Day, with the purple unis on. So Tigers going bowling, as KD says.
Yeah.
We will see you guys Tuesday night, 8 p.m. for the All In Show. Thank you for being here, and go Tigers.
Later, y'all.